Welcome. Let's have a conversation about Mobil 1. Now everyone knows the Mobil 1 brand, but in recent years it has tended to lose just a little of its mojo with Australian car owners. So we reckon that it's time to rediscover Mobil 1. We'll focus on the attributes. Mobil 1 stands for the best possible quality. It's the hallmark of the brand, and put simply, it keeps your engine running like new no matter what. And Mobil 1 is the world's leading synthetic engine oil brand. Now, if you're going to make a bold claim like that, then it needs to be backed up. So stop and think about what Mobil 1 has done with motorsport over many, many years. And this is about a technical partnership, not just about sponsorship or whacking a sticker on a car. From the Red Bull Formula 1 team to Porsche, Bentley, Corvette, and locally tremendous success here in Australia with Holden and heaps more all around the globe. From a heritage standpoint, let's think about the heritage of Mobil 1. Well over 40 years since pioneering fully synthetic motor oil way back in 1974. And the factory fill program is impressive. An unbelievable lineup of brands, some of the world's finest performance car makers, and they are insisting on Mobil 1 from day one. It's a direct lubricant technology transfer from motorsport to the fastest and finest road cars. Okay, let's now talk about synthetic oil quality and the things that determine the grade and specification. Now, there are three key elements: the base stock group and viscosity, which makes up around 70% of the finished product; the additive package, which is essential to meet the very specific needs of the OEM's engines; and the proprietary chemistry. Now, this is best explained as the secret sauce included by the oil manufacturer to take their finished product beyond the minimum standard of the car makers. So really, it's not about where the finished product is made, it's what goes into it, as well as the quality controls around production. And essentially, there are four types of synthetic engine oil. First up, we've got semi-synthetic, which is a blend of mineral and synthetic base stocks. Then we move on to HC Synthese. Now, this is used extensively throughout Europe. And not for a nanosecond am I going to pretend to you that I am a Mobil chemist, but to simplify the story, there's a process called hydrocracking, which rearranges the molecular structure of the crude oil to make Group 3 base stocks to mimic the characteristics of full synthetic oil. Then we move on to fully synthetic, and this is the next step. It's a genuine fully synthetic oil. These are chemically engineered polyalpha olefins and esters known as Group 4 base stocks. And then finally moving on to advanced fully synthetic oils. This is the top shelf. Advanced fully synthetic oils, these are Group 4 base stocks plus the proprietary special secret sauce. And this is where Mobil 1 sits right at the very top. So why would you choose Mobil 1? It's not for everyone or every car, but one or more of these things needs to be important for you. So first and foremost, absolute performance. The words pretty much say it all. You might own a car that was built for the track as well as the road, or you might enjoy some spirited and quick driving, do a bit of towing, whatever. Either way, if you like to get the most out of your car's engine, Mobil 1's for you. Outstanding protection is the next byline. Again, pretty straightforward. Protecting the engine from wear and damage is the primary function of oil. And if you want to maximise that protection for as long as possible under all conditions, no matter what, then Mobil 1 is for you. And pioneering innovation. This is going to take a little more explanation. So car makers are driving massive innovation and development with the performance and efficiency of their engines these days. And in turn, they need the world's leading oil manufacturers to develop formulations to help solve all kinds of problems, like, for example, low-speed pre-ignition, which is a real problem in many of today's turbocharged engines, as well as handling the extreme lubrication demands of engines that are now downsized and then boosted to meet these tough emission standards. So very few companies have this kind of R&D capability. So if you want your brand of oil to be at the tech forefront, then Mobil 1 is for you. So the best for not much more. Your car is worth it is the statement. How much is your car worth? What did you invest in it? Ask yourself, is your car worth it or not? Now, the thinning of oils, this is an interesting topic because there's a relentless drive for fuel efficiency and emissions at the moment, and this is from governments and car makers all around the world, and the requirement is for thinner oils. Now, The lower the viscosity, the thinness of the oil being pushed around in the internals of the engine, the less energy consumed. This is great for the planet, but it's really, really tough on oils. So the inherent quality of the oil becomes more and more important the lower those viscosity numbers are. And cars that once ran on 20W50, we now see running 0W20 as the norm in many small engine cars. So when you're passionate about the drive, and for me and for everybody around here that love their car and love driving, and it really matters, the best way to sum up this Tech Talk is when you're passionate about the drive, there is only Mobil 1. Now perhaps Mobil 1 isn't for you, especially if you run a workshop and you know your customers want quality but not necessarily the top shelf. Perhaps Mobil Super is for you. As it explains, this is a range of high quality, high specification products from the makers of Mobil 1. It starts with a multi-grade mineral and semi-synthetic oils right through to the very latest in fully synthetic formulations. And we'll kick it off with a conversation about Mobil Super 3000. This covers most vehicles, both petrol and diesel, from 1996 through to current day, and includes all the major Euro brands, as well as Japanese, Korean and local marques. Now, Mobil Super 2000 again covers petrol and diesel vehicles and leading makes, but dating back to the early 80s right through to the early 2000s. And then there's Mobil Super 1000. This covers the very long tail of the Australian car park, the traditional models that are more than 20 years old without exhaust emission systems. And there's many more of them around than you might first think. Now let's talk about getting the spec right. So there was a time when using just the manufacturer's recommended viscosity was enough. Any 15W40 would do the trick. Now 5W30 is the most popular viscosity grade, but any one manufacturer could have anything between 6 or 8 5W30s in the range, all of them with different specifications and OEM approvals. And this story is only going to get a whole lot more complicated as car makers continue to innovate with their engine technology. So, what's the answer? The first consideration here is the oil requirement for Australian delivered vehicles. Now, petrol sold in Australia has a much higher sulphur content compared to many other countries. So the engines and emissions systems sold here are not necessarily the same as Europe or Japan, for example. Every car maker has a minimum standard of oil that must be used for everyday driving in varying conditions. It's very important to use an engine oil that meets or exceeds the OEM specs. Some car manufacturers issue factory approvals for specific oils that they test. And if you want to know more about that, then we're encouraging you to get onto the Mobil 1 Australian website, click and find the right oil spec, and then follow the very simple prompts and drill down to get to what you need to. It's comprehensive, and the good news, you can let the Mobil tech guys do all of the hard work for you, and it's instant. You'll get the right Mobil 1 product details and usually a Mobil Super option too at simply the press of a button on your phone or on the computer, and away you go. Mobil 1 has an ecosystem for those who care about their car, you or your mechanic. It's for people who don't accept substitutes. You know how it works. Something else is supposedly as good as Mobil 1 but cheaper? Yeah, sure. Well, you can buy Mobil 1 as well as all of the things that you need for an oil change and do it yourself with pride. That way you definitely know what you're getting. But not everyone knows how or wants to change their own oil these days. So remember, you can buy and supply if you have any doubts. This means that you can buy your Mobil 1 from a retail store and supply it to the dealership or your mechanic when you take your car in for service. And if you don't already have a trusted mechanic to go to, then we recommend the services of the Car Mechanica network of master workshops that are right throughout Australia. So I'd recommend that you jump onto the website carmechanica.com.au, and why don't you have a look and see what Mark Webber has to say.
Hi, I'm Mark Webber. I learnt a lot about what it takes to win during my racing career. You never settle for good enough. It's always about being the best. So if you've got a no-compromise approach to your car, upgrade to Mobil 1. These days, most people don't change their own motor oil. There's a lot more to servicing a car than an oil change. When it comes to who works on your car, it's all about trust. When I was racing, it was absolutely about trust. Proven performance, protection and innovation mattered, and it's just the same with a road car. In my experience, I've learnt, only deal with fully qualified professionals who use all the right equipment. Work with people that take pride in what they do. Except you can't get the best at the lowest cost. When you're passionate about the drive, there is only Mobil 1.
So there you have it. This is just a quick overview of a great story. It's time to rediscover Mobil 1.